Welcome to our channel, Bravo News. Stephen McBee Sr. faces a stunning setback, what it means for the McBee Dynasty. The King of King City. Stephen McBee Sr. had built his empire with bare hands, grit, and an appetite for risk that would terrify ordinary men. In King City, Missouri, the name McBee wasn't just a surname, it was an institution, a dynasty of wealth and reputation stitched into the land as firmly as the fields of corn and soybeans stretching to the horizon. His reality show, The McBee Dynasty, had turned his family into Bravo's most unexpected golden ticket. What started as a regional curiosity about a wealthy farmer running his agribusiness like a Silicon Valley startup spiraled into something much bigger. Cameras followed Stephen's every step, his business decisions, his family feuds, his romances, and the glossy, chaotic storm that swirled around them. But behind the fame and Bravo-fueled lights, Stephen Sr. carried himself like a man at war, a war with competitors, a war with regulators, a war at times with his own family. And now, for the first time, that war threatened to consume him. Because the setback that hit him, quietly, devastatingly, was not only financial but deeply personal. It was the kind of blow that reshaped dynasties. The whisper that shook the boardroom. It began not with a headline, but with a whisper. On a Tuesday morning, while Bravo producers prepared for another round of filming, Stephen's phone buzzed with a message that made his gut tighten. Urgent. We need to meet. Bad news. The message was from his longtime attorney, Mark Halverson, a man who never wasted words. By noon, Stephen sat across from him in a dimly lit office in Kansas City. The air reeked of stale coffee and nerves. "What's this about?" Stephen asked, trying to sound more annoyed than afraid. Halverson slid a thick envelope across the desk. The Department of Agriculture is opening a formal investigation into McBee Farms. Allegations of misreporting subsidies, potential fraud. For a long moment, Stephen stared. His pulse thundered. The very idea that his empire, built on legitimate deals, clever pivots, and ruthless strategy, could be branded with the scarlet letter of fraud? It felt like a nightmare slipping into daylight. "They can't touch me," Stephen finally said, though the words lacked conviction. Halverson sighed. "They can, and they will. And with Bravo cameras rolling, this isn't just about business. This is about your reputation, your dynasty." The whisper had become a storm cloud, one that promised lightning. The family reaction. When Stephen gathered his sons that evening, tension filled the air like static. Stephen Jr., the heir apparent, leaned forward, his jaw tight. "Dad, this is serious. They've been circling for months. I told you we needed to be careful." "Careful? That's weakness. They're jealous of us, of what Dad's built. This is politics, plain and simple." Cole, the youngest, said nothing. His silence spoke louder than his brother's arguments. And then there was Christy, Stephen's ex-wife and the boy's mother, who had drifted back into the family spotlight after her own turbulent journey. She looked at Stephen with something between concern and exasperation. "You've always thought you were untouchable, but maybe it's time to face that you're not." The room went quiet. For once, Stephen had no retort. Bravo's dilemma. Meanwhile, at Bravo headquarters in New York, executives buzzed like bees in a hive. The McBee Dynasty was ratings gold. The mix of Midwest grit, opulence, and raw family drama had struck a chord with viewers who couldn't get enough of the modern-day farm dynasty. But this setback threatened the survival of the show. "Do we film it?" one producer asked during an emergency call. "Of course we film it! This is the story. This is what reality TV is built on. The fall, the conflict, the comeback." But not everyone agreed. Some worried about crossing a line. Was it exploitation to film a man's potential fall? Or was it exactly what the audience craved? For Stephen, the cameras were both a weapon and a curse. He could spin the narrative, frame himself as a victim of jealous competitors and government overreach, or he could let the story spiral out of control. Either way, Bravo wasn't turning off the cameras. The enemy in the shadows. As the investigation deepened, whispers grew louder about who might have triggered it. Some pointed to rival agribusinesses jealous of Stephen's success. Others whispered that someone inside the McBee circle, perhaps even family, had leaked information. Stephen's paranoia grew. At night, he paced his massive farmhouse, replaying conversations, scrutinizing his son's loyalty, questioning Christie's reappearance. "Someone wants me destroyed," he muttered, staring out the window at the endless Missouri fields. And in his gut, he feared he knew who it was. Public humiliation. The first major blow came when a Kansas City newspaper splashed a headline across its front page. "Federal Eye on McBee Farms. Subsidy Fraud Allegations Surface." The article was brutal. It painted Stephen not as a visionary entrepreneur, but as a ruthless schemer gaming the system. It hinted at lavish spending, questionable loans, and favoritism from local banks. Within hours, social media exploded. Fans of the show were divided. Some defended Stephen as a hardworking man under attack, while others reveled in the idea that the mighty McBee patriarch was finally getting his comeuppance. At the next Bravo filming, Stephen faced the cameras with forced calm. "This family's been through storms before," he declared. "We'll get through this one too, stronger." But behind the bravado, cracks were widening. The legacy at stake. For Stephen Jr., the setback was more than his father's problem. It was his future. "Do you understand what this means?" he confronted his father one night. "If they shut us down, I have nothing. We have nothing." Stephen Sr. bristled. "You think I don't know that? You think I haven't sacrificed everything for this family?" Sacrificed? Or controlled? "You've never let anyone else lead. Maybe this is happening because of you." The words hung heavy in the air. For the first time, the air was openly challenging the king, and the cameras caught every second. The surprise ally. Just when Stephen thought he was isolated, a surprise ally emerged. Galina Saltkovska, his controversial girlfriend, who had been painted as a glamorous outsider with questionable motives. "Let them talk," Galina told him one night, her accent thick but her conviction sharp. "They want to see you weak. Don't give them that satisfaction. Show them you are stronger. Show them you fight." Stephen had doubted her before, wondered if she was with him for the fame, the money, the spotlight. But in this moment, she was his rock. And strangely, viewers began to warm to her. Online fan pages shifted. Galina, once labeled a gold digger, was now seen as the woman who stood by her man when the dynasty shook. But the true dagger came from within. One night, while reviewing documents with Halverson, Stephen found evidence that left him cold. Confidential financial records had been leaked, records that only a handful of people had access to. And one of those people was family. The betrayal he had feared wasn't paranoia after all. It was fact. The question was, which McBee had turned? The future of the dynasty. As the investigation neared its climax, Stephen faced the hardest decision of his life. Fight to the bitter end, risking prison, bankruptcy, and the total collapse of the dynasty, or cut a deal, admit fault, and salvage what little legacy remained. For a man who had always lived like a king, bowing was unthinkable. Yet, for the dynasty to survive, perhaps the king had to fall. And so, under the harsh lights of Bravo cameras and the harsher scrutiny of federal investigators, Stephen McBee Sr. prepared to make a choice that would echo through his family for generations. Would the McBee dynasty end in ruin, or would this setback become the spark that forged their greatest comeback? Only time and Stephen's next move would tell. Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to our channel for regular updates.